Thursday. Welcome to another unboxing that we're doing with Synthflow AI. Here with Alex Dan. How you doing, Alex?
Great. Thank you very much, Chris. Good morning. I'm Alex, founding product manager at Synthflow, and I'm going to show you our integration with HubSpot in the few moments that will come. Thank you.
Yeah, excited to have you on. I know there's lots of stuff like this, coming out right now, and the best we can do is kind of, share knowledge as it does, as and if we think it can be valuable for people out there, usually wanting to do more and wanting to do stuff that they've never been able to even get to because a lot of this stuff takes time and, there's only so much time in the day. So finding places where we can, in a quality way, not necessarily always quantity focused, create this extension of our teams really to do some of these things well and successful. So I'm excited to talk to you about things that I've heard and before we get into the why, I'm just going to share my screen real quick. Uh, Give a quick promo for the webinar that's tomorrow. Um, that you guys are putting on. Sounds like you guys are really excited for this, and you're going to be showing off some things. Is there anything you want to mention as to what people can expect tomorrow?
Yes, so we came quite along with HubSpot integration. We start with, let's say, an MVP on the integration, and we got a lot of attention to it and more requests from the user. So we're preparing quite a big launch that I can talk a bit about later on. But we're going to have more features like lead enrichment, contact enrichment. You can map out fields from the call directly to your properties inside HubSpot. So, for example, you have a call with a user, an outbound or inbound, and they mention the address where they want something to be delivered or something like that. Then, after the call, that property can be automatically updated into the contacts into your CRM. And that's just one of the things. We're actually making using Synthflow inside HubSpot way easier because our most important, let's say, benefit and differentiator now in the market is we're a no-code approach, where we try to make this accessible for everyone. So we try to simplify by a lot those processes by either automating them or making it easier in few options for you to build it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I know you guys are really excited, and it's exciting to have a newer version of the app that you're launching tomorrow. I know you guys are giving some stuff away too, I think. So definitely recommend if you're interested in, uh, you know, what we're going to talk about today. Definitely check out the webinar tomorrow. Um, it's going to be a good time. Uh, but until then, you're stuck with us today. And before I start clicking buttons and unboxing, why are we here? Why did you guys, why are you guys passionate about building this app for the HubSpot users?
So first of all, what Synthflow is? Synthflow is the first platform that can build voice AI assistants that are human-like and can take conversations, either inbound and outbound. We have a huge experience working with customers, enterprise level, but mostly agencies across the globe. And we've seen that the same issues are coming again and again into things like the inbound support of things, where you have a lot of calls, you cannot manage them. And this takes a lot of time. You don't have 24/7 support, for example. There, you need either to pay humans a lot, but you can pay Synthflow and have an AI that can stay there and take all your ringing calls, triage your issues, escalate if needed. But the same thing happens on the outbound calls. Um, Voice AI assistants are here to help humans do things better and in a more scalable solution. For all the calls and all sales teams out there, there's a part where you need to make thousands of calls just to get a warm lead and a qualified lead where you need to capture more information from that specific lead. And usually that's the boring stuff, and it's usually hit and miss, and there's a lot of volume there. Instead of doing that with humans, do that with voice AI assistants that can do it repeatedly easier and with no complaints on the side, but will make your sales team, SDR teams, more efficient because they can actually take those warm leads, hot leads, and try to convert them.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. And again, we're talking about adding on in places that, either it's not the best use of a human's time, and it can be, awake 24/7. All these things that we want to try and provide the support that we know customers are expecting, but we've run into these barriers, related to relying on, a person in the seat to be able to, um, support that activity. So uh, I'm gonna click the button and we're gonna start unboxing this. So Zia's clicking install app up here, right? It brings us to the Synthflow page, and I've already created an account. It works best if you do that. So when I click install, it asks for some authorizations and brings us to Synthflow. Click connect here. And of course, you gotta pick the account that we want to conveying your message. Choose account. And brings us back to our Synthflow portal. Now, what am I looking at here,
Now,
Alex?
so here is our dashboard that will also suffer major changes for people who are going to join the app from tomorrow on. We're going to have a big UX overhaul. But here you can find all your voice AI assistants created. And as you can see, there are a bunch of those. We can start from scratch. We can use a template. So we have an agent that we can go through. So let's start creating a new one. On the top right side, you have a create button. If you could please click on that. Click assistant. We have actually two kind of assistants, individual assistants and assistant teams. Individual assistance is exactly what it says, but assistance teams can act like an IVR with AIs. You can have multiple departments with a single phone number, and you can switch between those. But let's start with an individual one and create a new one.
Okay. And
Here, the best thing I recommend for new users is to browser our templates and start with a template, or use quick assistant setup. Right now, I recommend to click on the template because for quick assistant setup, right now we only have for inbound scenario, but now we're going to build an outbound. So please click there. Uh, Here on the left side, you can see some of our industries, some templates that we've built those assistants for. And you can see that we have real estate, recruitment, car dealership. Those are only a few. We really need to update this. There are more industries out there like insurance, retail, telecom recently, quite a lot, uh, HVAC, and so on.
so as you
Let's go to car
so
dealership.
and as people like as more
Please, please.
people, more users start using the system, is there going to be like a, can the community create templates and add it into, a public
Yes,
place?
that's actually a good observation, Chris, and more insight there. Uh, I will require you to refresh the page. Sorry, because the team has pushed an update, and that's why the black box at the top says. So no, actually, we are looking for hopefully this year to create this community marketplace where you can create your own assistants with your own integrations, and you can share with your friends or sell them if you want, because we really have some great minds, great builders that really push the product to the limits, and it's really amazing what they build. So instead of us spending time into building those, we can um, we can just incentive those really advanced users to put that for everyone.
Yeah, and I think
Um,
it's so important right now as all this moves so fast, like HubSpot and AI and everything in between. One of the most common challenges I hear about is, oh, I see this new great tool, or I see this new great, you know, workflow or build or playbook or whatever, but it's not for me. Like it's not in my industry, it's not in my application, right? I can't use it for my team. We cannot, like, and I'll speak on behalf of users and partners and like the ecosystem outside. We cannot and should not rely on HubSpot themselves, or in this case Synthflow, to create all of those industry specific application specific models, because they don't know our space, and it's impossible for them to know our space unless, I mean, I guess that's why we have really, really niche versions of the tools that are sometimes built for those spaces specifically. Um, this is not one of those cases. So it's awesome to hear that there's going to be a mechanism to say, hey, I built this for manufacturing. Now I can have other people be able to use it, or even, like you say, be able to monetize it, because there's a ton of value from that expertise that you bring when we're creating these things for each other. Um,
and that's completely true, especially the expertise part. Those kind of templates here are like really high level, just more to give you an idea. So we still want to create ourselves the templates from Synthflow just to give you a rough idea what can be built, because that also gives you ideas on how you can make the best out of those cases. But regardless, like that, people come to us for, I don't know, healthcare. We're getting HIPAA compliant and so on. There are a lot of traction from healthcare into this space, especially on the inbound receptionist and so on. But yeah, the expertise from our customers is the most important, and the one that actually helped us grow so fast, because we always built with them and made their use cases possible. Because as you said, everyone came with those, I want this, I want that. And it was possible everything, but in a smaller piece. You need to start slow and integrate those more voice assistants slowly into your workflows, because you need to keep track, you need to see the ROI of those. So
right.
yeah.
So I can click on any of
Let's get
these.
back. Sorry for digressing. Let's pick Amelia here. She's an outbound. As far as I remember, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to view
Yeah,
details
she's an
first.
outbound. Here you have a quick description. You can give it a try here if you want to see how it sounds. But yeah, let's click Create Assistant.
Okay. Before we do that, if we could just look at the screen for a second, so that, um, it's very easy to just, try and move as fast as possible, especially when we're building new stuff in HubSpot. Like, but as from an admin perspective, taking the time to, create descriptions as you create your own, and understand. Uh, so let's say with a commitment to personalized service, we engage potential buyers or renters with professionalism through active listening and direct questioning, gathers essential information to understand your needs. So again, we're understanding uh, what we want this AI to be doing, and how they're going to represent, themselves and the company, like as you use them. We see which AI model is supporting it. Uh, I'm guessing there's some voice options, right? Is what we're choosing here, and then even language. How many how many languages are available out of the
Uh,
gate?
that's a really good observation. So we have a couple of languages. We have English with a few variations like Indian English, British English, Australian English. Then we have Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, German, Dutch. I hope I didn't miss something. But
Okay,
those are the current available languages, and we're going to add more quite rather soon. We're really hoping for. Yeah.
awesome. And I'm gonna just stop the share because I want to click that give it a try button, uh, and make sure. Okay, so entire screen. All right, I'm just gonna. Okay, I can't share system audio the entire screen now. Cool. So I'm gonna share, and now I'm gonna click give it a try. All right.
Click create here. Here is just for testing, but you should start creating it.
Okay. Sounds good. So if I wanted to test
You
it,
can click add. Yes, you just add here your name, your phone number, and those below are called variables. They are empty variables because, for example, you want to call different leads and you have lead underscore name in this example and say, hey, is this Chris? Hey, is this Alex? So every time you just map it to your correct property in HubSpot, like the lead customer name, and it will use that at the start of the call. But here, because it's not synced with anything, you just need to hard code that specific name. Yeah.
right? Okay. No, this is great. I think this is a great way to, like, the easier it is to test it and see how data is coming into, HubSpot, the more likely we're going to start using it. And then I just hit escape to get out of that. So that was easy. Um, this template includes real-time booking, which will need some configuration in advance. What does that mean?
So assistants themselves can do conversation, can stir the conversation into something, and so on. But where the big value is, and uh, actually what we provide besides what OpenAI can provide and so on, is that we give it superpowers, and those superpowers are the actions itself. Actions to go schedule an appointment on your calendar, to send an SMS, to do a human transfer if a certain condition is met, or multiple human transfer. It says, okay, I want to escalate this to your manager. And then it puts you in contact with your manager. And more things like that. Because we also have a tool called custom actions where you can build your own custom tools, you or with assistance from us. So we can actually integrate with almost any system out there that has an open REST API. We can do get, we can do post. This is a bit more technical, but if you really want to make your case possible, we can make it through that. You can send SMS during the call. You can send them emails while the call is happening. You can send an SMS with the location and so on. It's a form. You can go look inside the database from HubSpot and see that Chris is an old customer that called 2 times last week and complained about something. And we can recall that context and reuse it inside the conversation. And yeah, sky's the limit.
Awesome. That sounds pretty amazing. Uh, and again, like a lot of those things you described, like it's actually impossible for a human to do. Uh, and that's why it's not necessarily replacing something we're already asking somebody to do. It's doing something that we've always wanted to do and just haven't been able to do it. And as you described that, like one of the ways I've always described why a salesperson, might want to engage in LinkedIn more and the challenges of having marketing do things for you and then creating these just really frictionful handoffs, right? back to the days of telemarketing. Uh, like imagine if if your telemarketer, this person who's outside your business, made contact with somebody who's really interested in that moment, and they're like, yeah, I want that, right? That telemarketer who's outside of the business has no ability to like act on that interest in that moment, right? So it's like, okay, let me get your email. I will share it with the team and somebody will be reaching out at that point. Nowadays, like that's like an eternity, and we've lost interest at that point. So creating spaces, and that's what I meant on LinkedIn. Like if there's a post and you see a customer or a potential prospect engage on the post, now the sales guy can come right in and engage, right? With this, we can do that, via these calls now. So that is very exciting to think about. Uh, I'm gonna click on create assistant, and it looks
All right,
like
and you,
here.
she's the one, Amelia. Yeah, click open, please. We need to finish a few things here. I can walk you through quickly on the tabs that are available here. Um, so the dashboard here is where you can see some KPIs out of the call. Because you didn't make any calls, this is empty. But here you can see how many calls, how many minutes have been used, the average call duration, the actions, which those are tied directly to the ROI. If it had a goal to schedule appointments, you can see how many appointments had scheduled, and so on. And also below, there's one more line of graphs that is actually an AI judge that analyzes the conversation and says, hey, the goal has been achieved, the AI stayed on the script, the positive of the user was positive or negative, depending on the conversation, and a few other things. If you move forward to the configuration tab at the top, here we have some basic information about the assistant: the name of the assistant, the languages, and a few other voices if you want to pick another voice, if you don't want to use Amelia in this case. We're using 11 labs for the voices, and we're going to also have another provider for the voices soon. Uh, but yeah, here you can have different voices that you can also test out to see if one sounds better than the other.
Greetings from Dealership Name. This is Agent Name, your friendly AI reminder for vehicle care.
Okay, all right.
It said like that because the variables were empty, so that's why it just said the variable. Yeah.
Okay, so if we had the variables, like, man, this is really powerful stuff. This is why we can define it and get it to say exactly what we want. 'Cause for have
Greetings
properties.
from Dealership Name. This is Agent Name, your friendly AI reminder for vehicle care.
So basically, there's properties that say, this is it's dealership name, Chris's dealership, and
Yes.
record owner or whatever kind of owner makes sense for that record or instance that we're relating to.
Yes.
That says Chris Carolan, or it says in this case the name of the AI assistant. I'm gonna stick
Yeah.
with George here. Select
All
George.
right. Going for the British accent there.
Yeah, we can't get enough of
All
that
right.
over here.
Then
So
we then have the AI model that you can change. Actually, it's the GPT-4o and our own one, which is a degree of the same one. But either one that you use, we recommend this one for now. The patience level is hopefully straightforward. Is the patience between the exchanges from the AI and the human. So after I stop talking, the AI will wait 1 second and start talking itself. Uh, this can be increased here because in sometimes the AI doesn't know when I take humanly breathing pauses. So sometimes it can start talking over you, and you don't want that.
Oh, this is super interesting.
Keep it like low.
Yeah, this is super interesting because, when it was just hard coded robots answering calls or calling us, like generally you can immediately tell when there's too long of a delay. Uh, and it's important to really think about this beforehand. Because if it is just a quick, more like information gathering or meant to be like QA confirmations, like, hey, we just got, this request from you, or you just bought this thing. I always like to talk about these things from a full customer journey perspective, and the use cases for post sales management and customer success, where we're constantly confirming information that helps close these uncertainty gaps that humans like worry about all the time. Like, I just gave you my money. When am I going to get the thing? Right. Having an outbound call. I talked about this with Kixie when they were on the show too. Like, it's not just about outbound like spamming and trying to find leads. It's what can we do to just share information that we have and they don't, using this in that regard to say, like, it's very informative. So I would think that we would want much less, let's say, patience, like quicker responses, because there's not a lot of, thought that needs to go into this. We're just setting expectations. We're confirming information, right? Whereas maybe there's prospecting conversations or discovery calls or things like that, where it's like, how could we possibly respond so quickly based on a bunch of information that was just shared? That's like a dead giveaway for, like, you weren't listening to me. And while humans can do that, and humans do that, we might not want our AI to be doing that as well. So love to see that.
No, that's a great observation, Chris, because actually, indeed, for outbound, we recommend more on the low side, and on inbound, where people call and either ask for a question, and the AI says, "Okay, what's your issue? How can I help you?" There's a bit more longer things that the human says, and you need to be more patient for sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
I can also show you one quick thing here. I don't want to scare you, but if you click on the advanced toggle there, advanced settings, above the AI model, there's a drop down called advanced settings. All right, just
Oh,
quickly click on it, and I'm not going to go through all of those settings, but here you can improve the voice to sound a bit more human or more excited or so on. But what I wanted to say that we also have some idle reminders. At the bottom, you can see send idle reminders. Those are the message on the right side. If the human doesn't say nothing, you can check, hey, are you still there? Are you still on the line? And stuff like that to have the conversation like act more conversational in those cases. But yeah, you can hide this. This feels complicated when you see like this, but the new UI will make it easier for
yeah.
the settings. For now,
So the question there, I would say, like, let's say I received a call and like, something came up around me, and I just like, can you hold on 1 second? Is that how
yes,
is the AI responding?
it will say okay, but after 4 seconds, it will ask you, "Hey, are you there?" Just to confirm you're there.
Okay.
The AI doesn't have the notion. I mean, it understands the notion, but because we've added a lot of things to it to make it more like realistic, it cannot decide as a human. Okay, I'm going to stay here 30 seconds until the prospect, the user will finish his thing. I'll keep asking him after now 10 seconds, are you still there? Can we continue? And so on.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
because
if I
that's the
do,
nature. The AI will be efficient. Yeah.
right. So if I set it to 20 seconds, but I, as the human, come back before 20 seconds, it will now be out of idle time. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that's
Right.
right.
And it'll continue to
Correct.
engage just like a just like a real human would. Um,
Yes.
Super cool. Yeah, I think this is good to, you're always going to have varying levels of expertise and people that are focused on, um, getting it just right versus just getting it out the door. And I think at least knowing that you have access to these things, all these different variables that are going to play a role, just getting in here and kind of playing with it, uh, but always bringing it back to like, how do my calls go when I'm human to human? What are my expectations? Like, what would make sense to me if I were um, talking to this AI assistant? You can go
Yeah.
pretty deep
That,
here.
that's true. If you, Chris, can please refresh the page again. My team keeps pushing updates today. Um, but no, that's true. And what I've encountered with our customers is that usually there's a brief period of time because you cannot nail the conversation flow from the very first start. You need to have a few iterations with your customers, with you calling. But until you don't put the agent into a live case scenario with real users, you will not be 100% sure how it handles certain situations. So it's
Yeah.
best to
And I
usually
think
get
this
the
is
feedback
where,
into
like,
like,
yeah, we think about like secret shopper moments or like undercover boss comes to mind. Like testing these internally, like across teams, and even use as like, internal quality control, and like just making it easier to get feedback from all these places. Like, we'd love to get more people involved in how this stuff should work, and now it's just way easier to do that. I love seeing stuff like custom vocabulary, because the more technical and the more scientific the information can be right now, it's can be hard to rely on, AI mechanisms to get that stuff right. We all have so many different acronyms in our various industries and
yeah.
spaces. So adding that here, is a big deal. So that's good to see.
No, you nailed it, and that's the reason why it exists there. The last setting here, I'm not going to talk about digital assistant, but enable recordings. You can enable the recordings to have the recordings from Twilio because we're using Twilio on the backend as a voice provider. This is just a small highlight. This is really important for um, regulatory things. Just FYI, we're going to be HIPAA compliant soon, and will force the agent to ask for consent first for the recording and then record a call. I know also in similar in California is the same thing. You need to ask for the consent, then enable the recording because otherwise you cannot have the recording. Uh, so yeah, just I wanted to mention that
Yeah.
because people come and say, hey, why it doesn't work? Because your state doesn't allow it. Uh, then go to the prompt section, and the prompt section is actually where the brain of the AI lives. Let's say it's how you tell the AI to behave into the conversation, what to do, and what his goal, what it needs to achieve in that conversation. Um, Also, we have a knowledge base there where you can add FAQs and stuff like that. That's pretty straightforward for people familiar with. That will open a new link, documentation side. Um, the knowledge base is for FAQs and stuff like that. Not going to dive into that. We also have a copilot that can help you build the prompt. It needs updates. Sometimes it's too slow a bit. I'm really frank about it. It's on the update list, but it helps you out to get with minimum viable prompt because I keep talking about that because you still need to iterate on it based on conversation that you do. The AI cannot anticipate scenarios, and right now it cannot. Um, but I want to walk you through the structure of the prompt itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I could go all day on this. So let me just let you walk me through.
You can play around with it, but it will always stick to helping you build a prompt.
Yeah.
You have that enlarge button at the bottom right corner of the prompt section. Can you click on that? All right, so we can view it better. The prompt structure is quite simple and I think is humanly easy to follow up. So it resembles an SDR kind of paper for anyone familiar with that. But the first chapter of it is like background information where we include a bit of context about what's the agent name, what's the goal and the role of the agent, the objective that it needs to handle, for what company is it working for? Is it working for the X dealership in this case, and so on? And everything like, I don't know, or your price services are this and this. You add it here in the background information. Then we have a section for objections, okay, objection handling. This is especially in the outbound scenario. You don't need this in inbound scenario. The AI is smart enough to come up with answers to certain questions. But most likely, to some questions, you don't want to let the AI answer to however he wants into that scenarios. So you take these edge cases, these objections, when they happen in a more outbound kind of scenario where the user asks about the price or the user asks about something, and you expect the AI to solve it in a certain way. After the AI solves it, it can go back to the flow, which is the next, which is the next section of our prompting, the script itself. So if you scroll down a bit, please, uh, here you have exactly the steps that it needs to follow. As a bit more context, this template is for a car dealership that calls its existing clients to remind them that it has been some time they didn't do their car maintenance review, and is proposing to schedule a new maintenance review. That's the entire reason there. So it gives a bit of context. Uh, the AI doesn't follow blindly step one, step two, step three, the steps. It understands what the human said and can jump ahead, follow back, and so on until the entire information is structured. This is a really simplistic prompt, but imagine in lead qualification scenarios where you have to go through multiple questions, yes and no. They they don't have a salary more than X figures. They are not living in X. The agent can disqualify or move to another path depending on the response. So that's possible. So yeah, if you have any questions, Chris, sorry.
No, I think this is where, I mean, this is where the human powered insight comes into play. And well, you'll learn a lot from just kind of getting to the minimum viable prompts and seeing what's happening. If you're, wait, man, if you have recorded calls already from real human conversations, getting help from AI to distill what's in those conversations, and then in these instructions, in these prompts, say, when you hear this word, it always means this. And these are the responses, or this is what the tone means, like, and this is where it starts to be a bad call, or this is what you need to be ready for. Like, those are the kinds of instructions, and just guidance. Like, it's just like you would any human being that you're adding to the team, right? Like,
Exactly. You're perfect right. The way I describe to customers that are not so technical and explain them prompting is you don't have to be scared about prompting. It means if you know you are or you want to improve to be a good manager, you write prompts correctly because you write directions like you said a new employee and you tell them in that scenario you say that you manage it like that. You expect it to follow that, and it's the same with the prompting here.
yeah. And I think that's just always a good reminder. Like, we think about it, just because it's a different format, we've never seen it before. You think about it so much differently than let's say real life. But like, if you were, we've all experienced bad versions of this with new humans that, like, I just told you what my problem is, and the challenges I'm having, and you're trying to sell me something like new, like, no, don't do that. That's a bad experience, right? Of course, I'm not going to schedule an appointment for something new when you haven't fixed my old problem, right? So it's good to know that we don't have to script, because we can't script that. Like, we can't script that with a human being. We can't script that for AI. So it's just like, hey, watch out for these things. And this is, we start to provide paths to say, like, okay, if they say this, then that could mean these things. At this point in the call, we're definitely not trying to sell them anything. So don't suggest any new purchases or anything like that. And that's where, when you come back to like the industry specific or application specific, without those inputs, without that guidance, like, just like if I were to have a manufacturing company and I hired somebody from SaaS to come in and do customer service or customer success without telling them about manufacturing, that's probably not going to go well. And there's going to be a learning curve, and the customer base is different. So all these aspects that we're used to, right? So the same reason you wouldn't necessarily hire somebody from outside of manufacturing to do a specific manufacturing job, why would you try to do the same with AI tools and AI mechanisms, right? So all the power, so much of the power is right here, and taking the time to do the setup properly is so important.
That's great, Chris. Thank you very much for adding that. Let's move to the other next two tabs and move to HubSpot, because I know that's what your audience is looking for. Here we have the actions. The actions are the superpower that I mentioned. You just add them here depending on which one do you want. So it's pretty straightforward. There's a lot I can talk about how you created those, but briefly, it's easy to create them. I'm not going to make this point of right now. Here under deployment, what we need, it's really important to have is select a phone number so we can use this agent actually to get calls from it. So please feel free to select any phone number that you like.
And this
All
would
right.
also be the phone
Now,
number that I would see if I were receiving the call from the agent,
yes.
right? Okay.
Let's move to HubSpot now. I think we're ready to move to HubSpot.
Okay. Now, is there an easy way from your app to get into my HubSpot?
Sorry to disappoint you. Not. You need to open HubSpot in a separate tab. No. You can click
Okay.
install app. Let's click install app here. Let's see
Yeah.
where it goes.
All right. Let's do. Okay.
All right.
So
So the
that
app is
got me there.
installed actually. Perfect. Let's go to creating the first workflow automation to call yourself. Click on the automation side.
All right. So,
Workflows.
yep. So this is where,
Yes.
like, so we would have put this in a demo account if I were doing this, properly today. But knowing what HubSpot you have, so I don't have, in this case, this build is Content Hub Enterprise and Starter everything else. So I don't have Workflows access because it's included in Sales, Service, Marketing, and Operations Hub Professional. So really taking the time to understand, oh, I heard about this new app. Does my HubSpot setup, work for it? And if not, why not? What am I going to need for it? Sometimes there's other levels, like there's still value, right, out of the app that you might get depending on which functionality you're looking for. But also, like, if you're an internal stakeholder and you know your company can be doing more, with HubSpot, getting more out of HubSpot, I've seen real time, like these AI shiny objects uh, can often be the edge. Like, hey, this is a great app. You show it to the decision maker, they love it, right? And now we say, okay, in order to use that, we need this level of HubSpot. We need to upgrade our HubSpot, right? And sometimes that can be the difference between like this thing you've always been wanting to do and okay, now we've found the thing that's interesting for them. Like we can add a whole team of agents doing this, and we just have to do this upgrade in HubSpot first. And in reality, the cost of doing that versus hiring 5 new people, right? It's not close. So let's, invest in HubSpot. Let's invest in the tools to make sure they're working, more successfully for our company and for our customers too, right? So always key.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. And what I wanted to add is there are ways around this, but the value becomes because you have it embedded in the ecosystem. It's a bit more work to go way around this, but it's
right.
possible if you don't want. But this is really important for like Synthflow, HubSpot partners, because selling HubSpot packages, the Sales Hub, the Service Hub, can be paired quite nice together with Synthflow voice assistants because they complement each other. In this case, Synthflow complements what Sales Hub and the Service Hub can offer to a company. So they're really tied together.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
so
unfortunately, we do have to, wrap today. So I mean, I'm excited based on what you've shown. I mean, like you say, the possibilities being
Chris,
able.
we can still do a demo call with the existing agent. So you just call yourself and see how the AI performs, and without the HubSpot, just for
Oh,
the sake of the example, if you want.
okay. Yeah, let's do that. All right. So
So go to the system that you have created. Go to George. All right. In the right side of your screen, you can test your assistant. So select the phone number, not the chat. Use the phone.
the one I just
Select any
chose.
phone number.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Write your name, your phone number, and fill in the values for the custom variables there.
All right. I'm just gonna say test because it should just test. And all right. So you guys, well, we'll see if I can help you hear it. Let me put it on speaker, I guess. Probably sound not so great, but
Use please a bit lower voice on the speaker, not so high. It can
okay.
hear itself sometimes.
Okay. So I see the call coming in.
This is Test, your friendly AI reminder for vehicle care.
Hey, test.
Hey there, just wanted to remind you about your vehicle's service. It's been a while since the last one. How's your schedule looking for next week?
My schedule looks pretty open on Thursday.
Great. We can book you in for Thursday. Do you have a preferred time, or should I suggest some slots?
Can you suggest some slots?
Sure thing. How about 10 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon? Do either of those work for you?
Let's do 2 in the afternoon.
Perfect. I've got you down for 2 in the afternoon on Thursday. Is there anything specific you'd like us to check during your service?
I want you to check everything.
Got it. We'll do a thorough checkup on everything. Thanks for choosing Test, and we'll see you Thursday at 2. Have a great day.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
In
Take
this
care.
case,
See you soon.
it acted like booking the appointment because we didn't include the appointment there, so it didn't schedule. But that's how it goes when it's scheduled as well. But just so you know, yeah. And here on
No.
the right side, you can have the recording and the transcript if you can see, so you can review the calls as well. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's really cool. Um,
And the transcript and recording, if you integrate with HubSpot, they're automatically pushed to the HubSpot activity on the contact. So there
yes,
will be there and you can follow up. Yeah.
excellent. Well, this is really cool. Um, and I'm very excited to see, more people using tools like this, more technology. Um, I think more and more the expectations, of users, as everybody knows about AI and everybody learns, it's human-like experiences that we're looking for. It's closing these uncertainty gaps, understanding information, while also not having to wait, long periods of time to get what we want when we want it. Convenience and speed are very important things right now in the market. So focusing on giving that, it is much more important than always being human. So, uh, and if you're upfront with your customer base, you'd be surprised at, like, if you let them know that you are investing in technology and investing in assistance on their behalf to make sure they have great experiences, they're going to welcome these things. And setting these expectations early on is so important internally and externally. So this is really cool. Find ways to, think about where this fits in the process. And I'm excited for the webinar tomorrow. Like, it's already looks like a great tool, so I can only imagine what 2.0 is going to look like.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chris. I'm waiting you on the webinar if you want to join. And thank you very much for this talk here. And I hope you have a beautiful morning and a great day ahead of you.
Yes, thanks so much, Alex. And again, folks, find out where you can use these tools, outbound calling. Um, in this case that we shared today, find those opportunities and let's grow. Have a great day, everybody.